Good morning. On November 13th, at approximately 2:39, officers of the Johnson City Police Department were dispatched to 800 John Exum Parkway, Creekside Apartments, apartment number 10, in reference to a possible shooting at this location. Upon arriving, officers discovered a female subject identified as Chelsea Isbell, 24, of Johnson City, inside the residence with 2 gunshot wounds. Ms. Isbell received 2 wounds, one in the facial area and the other in the rear part of her lower torso. The investigation revealed that Ms. Isbell was shot by Denver Smith, 22, of the residence in the yard of the apartment complex there. After this shooting, Mr. Smith fled the area on foot and attempted to stop numerous cars on John Exum Parkway near the Delaware Street intersection. As the vehicle being operated by a Chelsea Scott, 18, of Johnson City, approached Denver Smith, the vehicle swerved to miss Mr. Smith, and he fired at least once into the vehicle, striking a female passenger in the car, Tiaria Miller, 19, of Johnson City. Ms. Miller was transported by Ms. Scott to the Johnson City Medical Center Hospital, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. Denver Smith has been arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder for the shooting of Chelsea Isbell and felony murder for the shooting of Tiaria Miller. Smith will also be facing aggravated assault charges for shooting into the car being operated by Ms. Scott and being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. Mr. Smith will be held in the Washington County Detention Center in lieu of bond and will be arraigned on Monday, November 16th, 2015 at 10:30 in the General Sessions Court of Washington County, Tennessee. We'd like to say to the media at this time that this is an ongoing investigation, and as such we cannot make some details public at this time, and we thank you for your understanding. I would like to take a moment to say that our hearts go out to the 2 victims of this incident, and especially to the family of Tiaria Miller, who tragically lost her life simply by passing by as a passenger in a vehicle. We can only imagine what her family is going through at this time, and we offer to them our sincere thoughts and prayers. Thank you. We will now, if you all have any questions, we will be happy to try to answer them to the best of our ability at this time. With me here is Major Carl Turner of the Operations Division, our Operations Division Commander, and the lead supervisory investigator, or lead supervisor, Sergeant Kevin Peters. So, any questions you all may have.
Chief, what can you tell us about the initial shooting and what precipitated that between Smith and Isbell?
There was an argument, and I'll ask Sergeant Peters at this time, but there was an argument in the yard of the apartment complex, and as a result of that argument, there were shots fired at that time, and that was the initial event.
Is this a location, and these folks, are they somebody that you've responded to domestic situations before?
We don't have that information at this time, Becky.
Did they both live there?
Sergeant Peters, do you mind?
Right now, we're still looking into what the relationship is between Mr. Smith and Miss Isbell. We have determined that Miss Isbell has been staying some at that residence. We do not know if that's a permanent residence, hers right now.
Is that his residence?
That is his residence, yes.
So that shooting took place in the yard?
That's correct.
And then he fled?
After shooting Miss Isbell, he fled the scene on foot. He traveled a short distance from the house and attempted to flag down some cars coming down John Exum. And
do you know if was he waving the gun, trying to force them over?
no, We have no indication that he was waving a gun at any cars at that time. What witnesses have told us that at some point when they were driving by Mr. Smith in the roadway, he did raise the weapon, and at one time they heard one shot fire.
So Ms. Miller and Ms. Scott were
Just
unrelated to the situation, passing by?
they just happened to be driving down that road at the wrong time.
Do you know where they were going?
They were going back to one of their residences.
Which direction were they traveling?
They were traveling west on John Exum onto Market Street.
Ms. Scott is still in the, I'm sorry, Ms. Isbell, she's still in the hospital, or,
Yes.
and you say where she was shot?
She was shot once in the facial area, and then once somewhere in the lower torso. Not sure the exact. They had already bandaged it up before we got there, so.
And where was Ms. Isbell hit? Or, I'm sorry, Miller?
She was shot once through the arm. The bullet then entered into her chest cavity.
Can you give us any information about the weapon?
We have recovered the weapon. We're not going to release exactly what the weapon is, what caliber it is right now, but we have recovered a weapon that we believe was involved in the shooting.
Pistol, revolver?
It's a pistol. It's a handgun.